name is Jonathan Andreessen. I want to talk to you today about something really interesting and important, trust, and mostly about identity. Identity today is one of the biggest topics in IT. Digital transformation is huge, but getting digital transformation, or getting your digital strategy right, really hinges on getting identity right. Identity, when we do things correctly with identity, and we build trust with the customer, we can really power all sorts of new digital products and services for banking and finance and all sorts of industries. And at Incode, we believe the future is one identity everywhere. You take your identity with you in an omni-channel experience throughout your day. You go to the airport, you use your identity. You go through customs, use your identity. You go through your taxi or your ride sharing, use identity. Check into your hotel, same identity. Do your banking services, identity. All of that needs to be frictionless, needs to be seamless, and we need to get away from usernames, passwords, PIN codes, two-factor authentication. How many passwords do you guys have? I have dozens, and every 3 months you have to update. Nothing is more secure than your face. Your face is a lot more information than a 6, 7, 8, or 9-digit PIN code that can be copied, hacked, and used for nefarious reasons. So identity really is the next level of digital. And some of the most interesting financial institutions and enterprises globally are using it to achieve competitive advantage. Now, identity hinges on trust. When we get trust right in the physical world, we do business, we do this for thousands of years. I see you, you see me, I shake your hand, I can hear you, I can see you, I can smell, hopefully not, and I know it's you. In the digital world, we don't have the same framework. How do we know it's you? How do we know who's on the other end of that iPhone, that Android device, that laptop, that iPad? We need a framework to confirm you are you. And once we know that you are you, and the enterprise is the enterprise, we can do all sorts of business. We can make business flourish and go faster. And that is really changing every single industry, including financial and fintech. Digital identity is transforming how we can use our services because we can use it in an omni-channel way across all of our lives in every sort of business. There's $1 trillion spent on digital transformation. It doesn't work if it's not secure. If it's not secure, if it's too slow, it doesn't work. And if it's very secure, it doesn't work, we can't use it. So really, the problem is there's a bit of a trust gap between the user and the enterprise. From a user perspective, what does your customer want? Your customer wants privacy. You know what happened in Australia last week? 10 million. 40% of the population's IDs hacked. That's a huge problem. That impacts business, that impacts digital, that's life-changing. Security and privacy are paramount, but it has to be frictionless. And from an enterprise standpoint, we need to make sure we're compliant. We have GDPR in Europe, for example. Here we have personal information requirements. We want it to be accurate. We want to scale the business and sell the customer more products and services. But there's a gap between security and friction. Again, if I add more security, I make things slow. If I take away security, I make it fast, but it's not secure. That's the big problem with security. That's the big problem with IT. So this trust gap is really important. And that's why digital is not moving even faster. And cybercrime, we know, exploits that gap. That is the number one goal of cybercrime today, to steal your credentials, your username, your password. And if you're an admin and they can log into your bank or your information, they can steal all sorts of information. All these phishing schemes, all these cyber hacks, it's all about getting your credentials. But what if your credentials wasn't the same thing? What if it was just your face, something that couldn't be hacked? What if it was your face and your biometrics? So it's time to get away from usernames and passwords and PIN codes, find a different way to verify your identity. Cybercrime doesn't want that, and cybercrime makes so much money doing this. They know how to get this information, and it's really getting worse. And it's going to get worse until we get better at making security and identity pervasive. Now, the technologies that a lot of companies have deployed so far over the past 5 years don't quite scale because they use technologies called active liveness. Have you ever tried to onboard with your phone? You got to move around your face. It takes 3 or 4 minutes. Got the angle right. It takes a while. If you've got a slow internet connection, you can be even slower. Imagine your customer doing this, trying to get a new customer to come to your service, and you make that process really clunky. You lose customers. You lose onboarding and you lose customers. Active liveness does not scale. Most of the industry uses active liveness. And there's too much friction. There's too much friction. The user today wants things in seconds. They want things really quickly. They want their services, their apps, their products now. And if you have to wait, they will go to a different provider. So active liveness is a really important technology because we need to know that you're a live person. Are you a live person or a picture? And it can be spoofed. So liveness is key. We also want to know, for example, is it a live ID that you're uploading? Or is it a picture or something? Things need to be alive in the digital world. And liveness is good. The second thing a lot of vendors do wrong is they use humans. We like to use humans. We are humans. But the problem is humans don't scale when it comes to identity verification. If I have to send your selfie and your ID to a human raider in a call center in another country, first, it's not secure. Second, it's slow. Thirdly, there's a lot of error. Can you imagine looking at hundreds, thousands of IDs per day, trying to match that to a person and a document? That's not really scalable. And that's what the industry has done today, because COVID forced us to move a lot faster with digital. And this is all that was available. We can't scale using humans. We need to scale using modern technologies, AI and machine learning, cloud, mobility. We're already cloud first. We're already mobile first. Machine learning and AI. That's the future of digital transformation. And the cost is significant. 40% at least of lost customers because the onboarding process is too clunky. There's too much friction. So in the digital world, we need to make it, I always say frictionless, but seamless, easy for the customer. Think with the customer in mind. And that's the first thing that a customer experiences when they engage with your brand, is identity. It's the first touch. It's also the first layer of security. So if you get that first touch wrong, and that's clunky, it's not secure, and it's slow, what does that say about your brand? So identity is critical, and business needs secure identity. The first generation, like I told you, used humans. Manual reviews in call centers doesn't scale, low conversion rates. So what did the industry do? They added AI, they added some automation. They made a hybrid model. So a lot of vendors today will say, well, only some of those IDs and selfies go to a manual review. That's still not scalable. And here in Indonesia, we have tens of millions of people. We have huge customer bases. We need to authenticate, we need to identify very quickly, and we need to have a better process. And that's where machine learning and automation come in. The next level of identity is machine learning and automation. That's the shift. We need to reimagine the technology stack. And in this case, technology does matter. Technology does matter. If you get the architecture right, everything else works a lot simpler. The technology stack that we have is integrated, it's frictionless, it's optimized capture of screens. I'll show you what that looks like, how we optimize that. It's fully automated. All the pieces are all integrated together. And at the end of the day, because the data doesn't leave our platform, it's more secure. There's no third-party integrations that leverage other technologies. And that's where, I heard someone mention just before me about personalization. Personalization is definitely part of digital. But to get to personal, we need to first customize. We need to segment our customers between VIP customers, high net worth customers, retail customers, different needs, and customize those identity flows to those customer groups. Once we can do that, we can ultra personalize services. We need to do that at scale. And that again is where machine learning comes in. So full automation, we're the only vendor that actually does full automation. That's probably why we had a huge round of funding before Christmas, because this is the future of digital identity. And so it needs to be seamless. If it's seamless, we can do a lot more transactions. More transactions mean more business. It needs to catch fraud. With machine learning, machines learn. And so when there's cybercrimes changing their approaches, we need to adapt as quickly. Humans don't adapt as quickly. That's where cybercrime exploits that gap, because it's slow. Eventually we plug that gap with cybercrime. We able to patch, we figured a new architecture, but that takes time. Machine learning is much faster to deter fraud. We also need to make sure the data is secure and there's data integrity. That's where machine learning also helps. And AI also helps. Helps with accuracy. This is a very repetitive task. Checking your ID against the selfie continuously is very repetitive. It needs to be consistent with consistent results. And of course, we need to scale that. We need to thousands, hundreds of thousands, and millions of flows. We need to onboard much faster at making a license. I won't go through all of these in detail, but just to show you, for example, there are several pillars you should think about when you think about digital, especially identity. The first is automation. Ask your vendor, do they use automation or do they use humans in call centers? Secondly, you need to do more on the edge. We've talked about edge computing for a long time. What does that mean? What it means in edge computing is that if a user device can power identification, we can do the liveness check on the phone. We can do it on the edge. It doesn't matter if you're connected to the internet or not. It doesn't matter what type of device you have, an old one, a new one, an iPhone 12, an iPhone 13, it doesn't matter. The edge is very important to leverage that connection. The best technologies today leverage edge computing. And there's no doubt that the user device is not on the device, it's more secure, it's more private, and it's faster. And we integrate all the stacks together. So this industry is extremely fragmented. You can find probably 50 or 60 vendors saying the same thing. We do identity verification. The truth is, they only do some part of it. Some of them do facial recognition. Some of them do capture. Some of them do identity verification themselves. Some of them just do OCR. And so it's very fragmented. Not many vendors own the full stack. But the full stack is important to you because it needs to be secure, it needs to be fast, and it needs to deliver powerful orchestration. So that means your user doesn't just use the identity technology to onboard, they use it throughout their journey as a customer. So when you onboard a new customer and they're now a banking customer, and now you want to upsell new services and products to them, they need to use their identity to authenticate seamlessly. Their identity is their passport with which you verify they're them, and you are you. You want to know who's using that other end of that connection. As for regulations and for banking, it's very important. Orchestration is key, and of course, we need to have the right architecture. If you're on-premise here in Indonesia, we need to have an on-premise solution. We've done that for many customers around the world. The last is, of course, partnerships. Working with governments here, governments around the world, to make sure we have access to their database and we work with local partners. To make sure we understand the national ID, the templates that we need to have for IDs as well. Partnerships is how we scale. So here's, for example, the capture experience. Have you ever tried to capture your ID with a phone? You know how it works. Sometimes it takes a lot of attempts. It needs to be really fast. We have an optimized capture experience. It's done in millisecond speeds, and it's updated very quickly. At the same time, it needs to check that that ID is a real live ID. It needs to put that ID through a rigorous checklist of a whole bunch of things to make sure it's real. Has it been tamper-proofed? Has it been altered? Is it a real ID? What about the texture? What about the other digits on the device? And the machine learning learns from that. And you can configure this up to 52 different modules, what you want to check for. What do you want to make sure? What severity do you want? Do you want a high severity or a conservative view or not? But that needs to be done rigorously, and it needs to be done very quickly. And that's where machine learning automation really makes a very big difference. Identity verification and capture. And one of the things that we do to make capture so much easier is called passive liveness technology. Passive liveness takes just one picture of you. And with that one quick picture, we know it's you. There's none of this circulating around the head, trying to figure out the angle. I gotta have it in 3D. Just take one picture very quickly, 40 milliseconds, and we've identified you're a real person. We've also identified if you're not a real person. You're trying to do a spoofing attempt. Get a picture, you're trying to fool the identity system. We need to make sure that's denied. And then what we do with that information, we totally customize. Passive liveness is a very unique technology. We're the only ones, the first ones that actually created it. And it's extremely frictionless. So I capture, boom, I'm done. I move to the next step. My onboarding experience is minutes faster. I've done that. This technology is proprietary. We developed it ourselves. It's built for the large enterprise, and it's 50 times faster than other solutions. So that's a key part of that whole onboarding process, is the capture experience. And of course, we capture it and run it on your own device. So it leverages the computing power on your iPhone, your endpoint, to run it really quickly. Why not, right? Why have to backhaul all that information? Why depend on your internet connection to do it remotely? And of course, we need to make sure this technology is certified. It's certified by the toughest standards in the world, by NIST and by IDATA as well, for passive liveness. We're the first vendor to create this technology, and the ISO as well. And so passive liveness is something you should really think about. Think about your customer. Think about your customer out there on the road, in their house, trying to onboard. You want to make that process really simple for them. That's how you differentiate from other financial institutions. You have a better onboarding experience. And you catch more fraud. You catch more fraud quicker, and you make things safer for your user and for your business. Now, that identity layer is so important, and that is going to be the way that you scale your digital and your digital strategy. Now that you know the user is the user, you can offer them more products, more services that you can monetize. By eliminating the trade-off between security and speed, accuracy, and scale, I do that at the same time as I deliver value very quickly. So quickly getting the process up and running. We can get the POC running very quickly, and the actual time to revenue from this technology is very quick. And of course, we want to make sure things are private for the user, that their data, their biometrics is secure. There's a thing that a lot of people think biometrics are better and more secure, but some people have a hesitancy to use it because of privacy. And the key for us is we take that very seriously. So we hash that biometrics, we encrypt it, everything's encrypted, we hash it, we don't keep it, we don't store it. It's not somewhere that even if someone gets a hold of it, it's hashed and not useful. So privacy needs to be embedded day one. That's really important to capture the customer. And then if you do all these things right, you can customize at scale. No matter where your users go, you have that architecture you can leverage globally as well. And that's why our very first customer was Citibank. Our product was built for Citibank. So one of the largest banks in the world realized that our technology helped them scale, and they use us for onboarding and for their digital services. And so when you've gone through that rigorous process over 7 years for us to figure out how it works for the largest banks in the world, it can work for other banks as well. And so onboarding and identity really is pretty key. And of course, some of our other banks that we use as customers, we just have some. I run Europe as well as Asia. And so in Europe, we have some new customers we just bought on board last quarter. This is moving very, very quickly. We've actually almost tripled the staff in the last 9 months. So we're going really quickly. And it's not just in some markets, it's almost every market. You know, it used to be with technology, you start in Japan or Australia, you go to Singapore, and you come to Thailand or Indonesia. Now this technology is moving so quickly, it needs to happen at scale. And that's one of the reasons why, number one, we have CISOs investing in us, because CISOs are very concerned about security. CISOs from some of the largest organizations are invested with in code, and that helps us learn what's important from a security perspective when you're trying to maximize your digital strategy. But also as well, we have a partnership here in Indonesia with Totem and TrustLink that we work with UNC. Our partner is helping us drive this technology through to customers here in Indonesia. And so we're really excited. We launched this about a month ago. We're having some great discussions here in Indonesia about how we can help customers fast track digital using the best identity on the market. So I encourage you to come to our booth, come talk to us. We're over here in the corner, give you a quick demo, we get some great prizes, show you how identity should be done for the banking and fintech for this week. I've got about 20 seconds left, so I'll do that. Thank you so much.